تفضل دكتور. الأستاذ الدكتور محمد الحمداني معنا كما أبلغت الحضور بمقدمة مختصرة عن جمعية قياس.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم جميعا أيها الحضور الكرام، وأعتذر لهذا الخلل. ابتداء أوجه التحية إلى بروفسور بدر خان. I am glad to see you again in our society. It is an honor for us to start our activities with such a great lecture like you. So welcome and thanks for accepting our invitation. الجمعية أخواني نقدم تعريف بسيط الآن ب5 دقائق. حقيقة هذه الجمعية كما هو واضح من تسميتها هي جمعية علمية لجودة التعليم والاعتماد الأكاديمي Quality Education and Academic Accreditation Scientific Society. دواعي تأسيس هذه الجمعية التي جاءت بعد دراسة مستفيضة متأنية على مدى عامين هو ما نلحظه جميعا نحن خبرتنا وحضراتكم أيضا في مجال التربية والتعليم. هناك تراجع مختلف من بلد إلى آخر في التعليم وفي وضوح أهداف وغايات التعليم رغم وجود تطور مستمر في مفاهيم الجودة والاعتماد الأكاديمي. في جمعية قياس سنسعى على قدر ما نستطيع إن شاء الله من خلال مساهمات حضراتكم جميعا في الوصول إلى جودة البحث العلمي وريادة الأعمال في تخصصات متعددة. فالجمعية إذن تهدف إلى تحسين جودة التعليم والبحث العلمي والنشر الرصين وتطبيق معايير الاعتماد الأكاديمي للمؤسسات في قطاعي التربية والتعليم وريادة الأعمال وتسويق المعرفة. كذلك إقامة ورعاية المؤتمرات العلمية وإصدار مجلات محكمة بمعايير عالمية وتطبيق الحوكمة والإدارة الالكترونية للمؤسسات. ورسالتنا في هذه الجمعية حقيقة هي بناء مجتمع تعليمي أكاديمي ريادي ذو غايات محددة يعتمد على برامج الجودة والإدارة الحديثة في تطوير المهارات المهنية والقدرات المؤسسية، وأيضا يعتمد على الحداثة والمعاصرة والأصالة والنزاهة الشخصية والأكاديمية والتفكير الإبداعي والحوكمة والإدارة الرشيدة والاحترافية والمهنية والانتماء والمسؤولية الاجتماعية. هذه الحقيقة الرؤى جسدت بأهداف موجودة في النظام الداخلي، 9 أهداف واضحة لها إمكانية التطبيق بوسائل وآليات أيضا وضحناها في النظام الداخلي في الموجود الآن على موقع الجمعية. والجمعية تنطلق من عدة بلدان ومن عدة عواصم بالحقيقة، لأننا نريد أن تكون هذه الرسالة عالمية، لأنه لم يعد اليوم إمكانية النهوض أو الإصلاح أو تطبيق برامج في بلد ما بمعزل عن البلاد الأخرى بسبب كما تعلمون الثورة الرقمية الرابعة. هذه الجمعية يعني تريد حضراتكم تكونون جزء منها من خلال تقديم إلى هذه الجمعية وشروطها اللي ممكنة، وهي أن يكون العضو حاصل على شهادة جامعية أكاديمية عليا من جامعة مؤسسة أكاديمية معترف بها، وأن يكون المنتسب عاملا حاليا في أحد المؤسسات أو متقاعد من أحد المؤسسات الأكاديمية سواء كانت تعليمية أو بحثية أو مؤسسات ريادية أو مؤسسات اعتمادية. العضوية تفاصيلها وأنواعها ما أريد أطلع على حضراتكم ما أخذ وقت البروفيسور، موجودة أيضا على الموقع. لكن نقول لحضراتكم أننا بدأنا تطبيقيا بهذه المفاهيم من خلال تبني أول وليد للجمعية، وهو مجلة العلوم الإدارية والحوكمة تحت مظلة السفير وفق معايير دولية نعتمدها إن شاء الله. وستكون هناك مجموعة مجلات بالتتابع، وستختص هذه المنشورات هذه المجلات في قياس بأنها تتيح مساحة من النشر باللغة العربية المترجم خلاصته إلى اللغة الإنجليزية لأجل التواصل العلمي، ولأن هناك كم هائل من البحوث باللغة العربية لا ترى النور ولا تدخل إلى الريفيوينج البحوث العالمية. أشكر مرة ثانية حضوركم، وأرجو الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يوفقنا في هذا المسعى لأن نستثمر طاقاتنا وما تراكمت لدينا من خبرة في صالح الإنسانية عموما وبلادنا بوجه خاص. شكرا جزيلا.
First of all, I would like to welcome our guest, distinguished guest, Professor Badrul H. And we've been very keen in Chaos Society to start our first session and our first venue with a distinguished guest, which I will brief you about his amazing experiences in the field of this presentation. I'll give you as well a brief introduction about Chaos Society. The society, from its name, it's working hard on the quality of education and academic accreditation scientifically. It's an independent global academic scientific association with a moral personality and a financial and administration independence. It does include a group of excellent academics interested in education quality, scientific research, entrepreneurship from multiple disciplines. The association's main aim is to improve the quality of education, scientific research, distinguished publishing, and the application of academic accreditation standards for educational institutions and higher education, and knowledge the marketing, and holding and sponsoring conferences, issuing a peer-reviewed journals with international standards, and applying electronic governance and management for educational and educational institutions. The foundation and the society got a very clear vision and mission, and it got a long-term strategic plan. Our message is building a pioneering academic educational community with specific goals based on modern quality and management programs to develop professional skills and institutional capabilities. And we will focus and adopt our own values, okay? It's the modernity and contemporary, originality, personal and academic integrity, creative thinking, governance and good management, professional issues, affiliation, and social responsibility. Qiyas also got a very distinguished organizational goals. I won't go through it all, but there are a specific and very clear 9 goals in its bylaw. And also it has 10 means and mechanisms to achieve these goals of the association. You will find it on its website soon. And the requirements for joining this association, that the person must be in the higher academic degree or in working in a recognized university, either working in it or graduated from a well-recognized university. And also to be affiliated with or retired from an academic or research institution or pioneering institutions or accrediting institutions, and fill out the affiliation form and fulfill the required obligations. And we have 3 main types of membership. member of the association, advisory board, which is the fellowship, and the honorary member. KIAS is working hard for establishing the first international journal in management science and governance, and with a very clear view to move towards indexing this journal in the near future in the well-recognized databases like Scopus. There are many privileges for everybody who will join KIAS and get one of the above mentioned memberships, and we will be happy to receive your notes and your comments and your application forms. And we have been very open, very transparent with all our community, and anybody who wanna work hard, join this society to improve our goals and improve the quality standard of the education in Iraq and hopefully in the region in the near future. I would like to thank you again for attending this activity. And now I will give you a brief about honorable guest, Prof. Badrul Khan. And to be honest with you, I have to cut a lot of his profile and CV because he's done an amazing work all around the world, in many continents around the world. And if I want to go through all his achievement, that means we will not have time for his interesting presentation. So I will just give some highlights about this distinguished guest. We are proud to join us, and we are very happy for accepting our invitation. He's a PhD holder, and he is recognized as one of the leaders in open and distance education in North America. Prof. Khan also a world-renowned speaker, author, educator, and consultant in the field of e-learning and educational technology. Professor Khan has the credit of first coining the phrase of website-based instruction and popularizing this concept through his 1997 best-selling web-based instruction book, which paved the way for the new field of e-learning. Prof. Khan has been honored with many awards worldwide throughout his career in the field of e-learning, and he served in many universities in North America and in VIP positions and chairing an important international committees. And also he has his distinguished contribution in many other countries outside the United States of America, in Canada, in Europe, in the United Kingdom, in Australia, and also in the Middle East like Egypt, and in the Far East in India and Bangladesh. And he worked in a lot of ministries, a lot of committees, a lot of very, very important communities, and a great achievements. And as I said, if I want to go on talking about his achievement, the words are not enough, and the time will not be enough as well. So I welcome Prof. Badrul Khan to give his lecture, Meaningful E-Learning and Blended Learning, and I think he will take around 30 to 40 minutes, and afterwards we will open the floor for the questions. So please, Prof. Khan, you have the time for your presentation. Thanks a lot for accepting the invitation, and we are very glad you are joining us in this great venue.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Assalam. Wa alaikum assalam.
My great honor to be with my brothers and sisters in Iraq, the country that I visited with my wife in 2018. And I was highly respected, honored by University of Fallujah, most specifically President Dr. Hamdani, wonderful individual, and all other Iraqi professors. I should have a list of everyone's name. We started Dr. Jassim, my Iraqi younger brother, and he organized a wonderful seminar where I was able to give my keynote address in Baghdad, and then also visited University of Fallujah. And those of you have met me in Iraq, from the airport to Dr. Saddam, received me at the airport, Dr. Ahmed, and all this, everyone. There are so many, I could name all of them. But I will, in my email, I will thank you all again. So this is a wonderful place to be. Good place, good culture, good people. That's what our Iraqi people, I believe. So thank you for inviting me. And since I am through the webinar, sometimes it is difficult to explain things. We are not there yet because we are in the digital world. We try our best. So I would first request that if you can run 4 or 5 minutes video that I sent, that'll be wonderful. I wanted to share this on Facebook.
Greetings everyone, my name is Badrul Khan. Meaningful e-learning and blended learning. Today's agenda, coronavirus, education sector caught flat-footed, new norm or new paradigm in education, e-learning and blended learning, the way forward. Introduction to a framework for meaningful e-learning and blended learning. Questions and answer session. Education is one of the hardest hit sectors during COVID-19 pandemic. A total of 1.6 billion students are out of school. Also affected are 63 million teachers. These numbers comprise 91% of the total students in the world. A total of 188 countries have closed their schools, colleges, and universities. Many have transitioned into online, remote, or distance learning. We are transitioning into a new paradigm in education in which remote learning becomes a new normal. It is true that many academic institutions globally were caught flat-footed and unprepared for the pandemic. Educators were asked to teach online that they are not used to. What would a new paradigm in education look like? My personal opinion, the new norm or the new paradigm in education will be heavily dependent on instructional and communication technologies. But technology alone cannot do the job. We need to address critical issues of open and flexible learning environment. Our educators and students need to realize that they need to change their mindset and prepare themselves to participate in this new norm in education. Therefore, e-learning and blended learning will be an integral part of this new norm in education.
start there. Okay. All right, thank you for watching the small introductory video that I prepared. Actually, that is my garden. The octagonal shape, the Khan's garden is to my right. So I'm in my home office. And the music I ran is from my wife, Sima Khan. She's a singer. Dr. Hamdani and other professors in Iraq met her. So that was Sima. Her name is Kamar. Kamar, my name is Badr. Her name is Kamar. We are both moons. So Kamar Khan, Sima Khan's music that I used that for the last part of it. Anyway, so as you know, we are home. All of you are home maybe. Why? Because there is a problem in the world. We have asked to stay home. We stay home and work from home. And are we used to this kind of living? No, because we never thought that something like this, which is coronavirus pandemic, will lock down the whole world. Well, it is bad for us, for people, but it opened up a new horizon, new opportunities for education and training. So when I show my garden, Khan's garden is octagonal shape. So this octagon, you see, octagon, and many of my books that I've written are based on the octagonal framework. So these got nothing to do with COVID-19 pandemic. My best-selling book in 1996, which is right there for web-based instruction on the top, you may not, you don't see it. So let me see if I can get something there to all my books are there. So the book right there is web-based instruction. So what happens in 1996, I coined the phrase web-based instruction. Many people did not realize that people need to learn by a computer or information technology tools. Why did I do this? Why I came up with this framework? Framework actually, I came out in 2001. The next book is a web-based training book. It came in 2001. But in 94, 95, I was a professor at the University of Texas. I always thought that I came to America in 1981. And my mother passed away in 1984. I could not go back. So what happens, I'm always thinking, why did I have to come to America? I could have stayed in Bangladesh, Chittagong, my hometown, beautiful city. Then I can learn from there. If we had internet webs available those days. So when Sir Tim Berners-Lee invented the web in 94, 95, I started to write this book called Web-Based Instruction, and other scholars throughout the world contributed chapters in the book. So it paved the way for new field of today's e-learning. Now this e-learning, people would say that now they would call it remote learning, e-learning, web-based learning, web-based training, distributed learning, anytime, anywhere learning. They can name it as many different ways they can. But my position is e-learning. E means electronic. If you use electronic devices, radio, television, internet, whatever you use, it is electronic. Using for learning purposes is e-learning. So you could Here, so many names: distance learning, web-based learning, web-based training, web-based instruction, e-learning, remote learning. As long as you use E for learning purposes, it's e-learning. And you can learn from the book. Is it a part of e-learning? No, book is obviously remote learning. So e-learning means any electronic devices you use for learning is e-learning. And how about blended learning? Blended learning, if you can blend two things together. So most commonly, term used for blended learning that you have online with classroom, so you blend. So you can blend any way you want. Like I'm speaking right now through one of the conference software. Someone else can use it in his or her class or course. So she is or he is blending this webinar into our course. It can be blended into traditional face-to-face course or can be blended into her existing online course. So blending is good thing. You can blend digital components. You can blend classroom with digital component. In a classroom, how do you blend? You take your students to field trip. So you're blending field trip to your physical classroom. In online, you can blend like my lecture into your course. So you're blending me as a guest speaker in your class. You can take your students a physical tour to somewhere. That's what you're blending. So anyway, so I'm going to come back to my octagonal framework. Why I have come up with this framework. When I was a professor at the University of Texas in 1996, I was thinking the book, Web-Based Instruction, was released. It was a bestseller. Over 500 universities in the world were using it for reference as a reference guide or textbook. But I have been asked to go different conferences, different campuses to talk about web-based instruction. So people are asking me if I could show them an example of a web-based instruction. Unfortunately, in '96, no universities I know was actually creating full-blown, standalone web-based or e-learning course. So I was thinking, well, I got a problem now, but I have to show them the example. So what I did, so I created something in my mind. I said, okay, I'm going to send one of my students from the University of Texas to Amazon forest, which is like a jungle, with a laptop. Then I will try to teach a course called Instructional Design. This is a graduate course for our field. And then I will see what challenges I will face. And then, while I'm going to different countries speaking, people are asking, how do you design web-based instruction? Nowadays we call e-learning. There are so many issues. See, in the classroom, when you teach in the classroom, you see your students. You have eye contacts. If they don't understand from their faces, you can think we should, you can think that someone is not understanding. But if you are teaching an online course, students are not with you. They could be in desert in Saudi Arabia, they could be in jungle in Amazon, or someone on the sea on a boat. How do you teach them? They are not with you. So in the classroom, what we have is called closed system. Closed system. You have control over your students. If fan doesn't work, then you can call the engineers or maintenance, they could fix it. In online, students with a laptop or a smartphone in a desert or in a jungle, how do you teach them? So I started thinking that way. So I realized that there are so many issues. as I'm going to different countries, people are also asking, can you show me an example of an existing online course, the way you say or the way you describe in your book? I said, not really. So they were asking so many questions. I went to United Arab Emirates. The Minister of Higher Education and Technology asked me a question about, student assessment. I went to China speaking at Tsinghua University. One of the professors asked me the question about pedagogy. Pedagogy, like learning theories, relates to open learning. Learning theories relates to distance learning. So we are so used to teaching face-to-face in the classroom. So online learning is a new thing to us. And once I started thinking about one of my students who will be in the Amazon forest, and I have to design an online course entitled Instructional Design for her, I need to start taking all the challenging issues. What can go wrong? How can I design it? So what I started to hear, one of the things the student will have issue with, what is the library? Sometimes the student will say, where do I pay my money, my fees? Or a student will have a question, if I have a technical problem in my accessing to the course, who I go to? So all these challenging questions. This is in 1996, 97, 98, I'm discussing this. So what I say, this is very challenging. We are so used to teach in the face-to-face classes. Now, we have to teach to students, we don't even see them. So, in that in mind, all the issues that I have encountered, people were asking me, and I started to put all the issues into categories. Some of the questions they're asking about learning, teaching. Some questions were related to ethical. Some are management issues. So what I did, I stopped myself. I started thinking and came up with this framework and put all their issues in those 8 categories. So what I did, one of my sister colleagues, Dr. Gulsun Kurbajak in Anadolu University, once called this a stop sign model. It's octagonal model and stop and think. So what I did, if anybody asking a question about learning theory, instructional design, or instruction strategies, that becomes pedagogy. I put in the pedagogy. If somebody asking about how to pay the fees, then that goes under institutional. So what I'm going to go next is basically explain the categories, important categories that we need to pay attention to in creating online courses, blended courses, online schools, online universities, online training. You should think about this framework that I created. So as I said, many of my books use this framework. So this is one of the books called Flexible Learning in Information Society. So if you see this, the first one is about pedagogy. So pedagogy deals with, also includes andragogy, means learning of adults, pedagogy, learning of children, but we use the pedagogy to include both, andragogy and pedagogy. So pedagogy deals with learning and teaching, instructional design, content design, goal analysis, things like that under pedagogy. So when the students, I am designing a course, my students in a jungle or in a desert, I have to think about what would be the best instructional strategies, pedagogy for designing remote learning, designing distributed learning for the person is not with you. The second category is called technology. In the classroom, our technology is that we are in the classroom, fan, air conditioner, blackboard, computer, those are technologies. But what are the technologies that we need for online education or remote learning? The three things I talk about. One is infrastructure planning. You need to make sure you have a good infrastructure. Right now, we have a Wi-Fi that we got connected. That's infrastructure. That's our way to deliver our information from here to there. Then you need a hardware, like I have a computer or a smartphone. And software. Now we are using a conferencing software. So what happens? That students need that platform for the technological. Interface design. Interface design, you can see, interface design is basically everything you're creating is going to be on the screen. It's like a small, maybe laptop or a smartphone. So how do you show the interface design? So whatever is screen, they see a screen. They don't see a classroom like we do. On the screen, you need to design user interface design, where you put different kind of sign and symbol you use. Like I always say that, I used to play cricket in Bangladesh, where a thumbs up, like is called, I used to call green banana, means if you bowled out, you lost the batting or whatever, the kids used to give us this, meaning that, oh, you didn't do good. But in America, in Western culture, this means good, you did good. So if I take a class, I was in Bangladesh many years ago, I did the answer correct in the computer, and my professor from America gave me thumbs up. I would think, why American professor are making fun of me? I did good. So it's called cross-cultural. So we need to think about that in interface design, signs, symbols, and different links that you use, they are cross-cultural, communication was good. It's more to it because you are creating a course in Baghdad. But this course could be reached by people all over the world. Different countries, different cultures have different way of saying things. So interface design, you wanted to make sure it's cross-cultural, that nobody get offended. Evaluation. This evaluation is so important because we are so used to come to our classroom and start teaching, and we give tests to a student. But evaluation in e-learning or online learning or blended learning, what I say in my books, that it's assessment of learner. You will test the student. Evaluation of instructor, means professor, and evaluation of technical support, and evaluation of all the people involved in creating an online course. Remember, for creating online course, you have to have a group of people. Someone who gives the content could be a professor. We call him subject matter expert, SME, or content expert. So the person who works like an architect, suppose architect want to build a building, you first have to have an architect. So we have called instructional designer. Instructional designer works with the professor, the subject matter expert, come up with the blueprint of the course, as an architect does for building a custom-built home. Then with this floor plan, they give it to the builder build the building. For us, we have to have a subject matter expert who is a professor or teacher or content expert. Work with the instructional designer who has degree in learning theory and instructional design, and he or she will architect the floor plan or the storyboard of the course. And then programmer and graphic artist working together put that course online. So in evaluation, we want to make sure we not only assess if students are learning, we also evaluate if professors or teachers are teaching okay, and also who designed the course, who provided the subject or content. See, it's a comprehensive evaluation. Then come management. Think about the management. When you go to our classes, we just have our books and notebooks and we go in the class and start teaching. Not that many management involved, but in online, if in your course, if you link one of the articles, there's an article, very good article by Harbi Singh on effective blended learning, which used my e-learning framework to show that it is good framework to blend courses, course design. So if I give you that article and it is in my, is posting in my site, so you're using in your class, maybe next year, I'm not here or I don't keep this website anymore. So your students go there, click on it, it doesn't go anywhere, cannot find. So that is called dead link. So in the management, you have to think about in designing this course, connecting to the resources, connecting to the links are all updated and working. You see how many things you have to think about in online education? Because you have in mind, you're a student at the center in the Amazon forest that is trying to get to your course. He or she is in the center. And the resource support. Resource support includes technical support, library support, counseling support. So we use learning management systems like Moodle or something open. And there are, proprietary software to learning management system. So sometimes students cannot connect to those systems. You need technical support. So technical support, students taking classes. If you think only Baghdad in Iraq, you're the same time zones. Maybe one of the students from Australia. Maybe when you're sleeping, he is awake, accessing your course, something went wrong. He or she should contact the technical support. So you have to think about, it's like 24 hours, 7 days a week, because the students don't know who is working where. So they will try to, if there's a problem, they will send an email or they will send a message. So in designing online courses, in designing online e-learning and blended learning, you must have to have good budgeting for technical support. If you cannot provide 24 hours, 7 days with technical support, just say it. We only provide technical support from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. weekdays, Monday through Friday. So students will understand it. Because your students, I'm thinking she is in Amazon forest. She had a problem. She wanted to do something on Saturday morning to do her homework. And all of a sudden she cannot get to the course. So she will try to get some technical help. And then ethical consideration. Ethical consideration is very important. That is geographical diversity. For example, in the United States, where I am right now in Virginia, near Washington, D.C., in the United States, we have six time zones. If 8 in the morning, I used to teach at George Washington University. I was a professor there. If I had to schedule a synchronous live discussion session, 8 in the morning, and if I had a student from Hawaii, it will go about 4 in the morning. So it will be not ethically very good decision to make. So under ethical consideration, you have to look into geographical diversity. You have to have good knowledge of where your students are, especially who are taking your courses. Then also you have cross-cultural communication. Like I said, if you have students coming from a different culture, you need to be ethically make sure, like a red color we use to warn something in the United States, like warning, but red color could be very vibrating, very revolutionary for China. So you need to make sure that everyone is accessing to your course. You are ethically very fit. So you have geographical diversity, also the political diversity, political influence. You know, if you write a history about Tibet, a professor from Tibet will write one way, a professor from China will write other way or some other way. So you need to pay attention to any controversial issues. You need to show the diversity of thinking. Your students deserve diversity of views so that they can make a judgment. So this is advantage over classroom. The last one is institutional dimension. Institutional dimension is basically deal with administrative, academic, and student services. So what happens, you have students taking courses online. They may say that I'm not coming to the class, I'm not using the fan or electricity, I'm not using their bathroom facilities, so why should I pay the same amount of money if I'm taking the class completely online? That is administrative issue. Student services. They said, well, I'm in online, I'm not even playing games in the common room or in the field, so why should I have to pay extra money for that? Student services. Many schools, colleges, universities have health clinic, these kind of services. If someone taking a course in online, will she or he got same services? So you see what I have shown to you. What I've shown to you, this you have to stop right there and think, who was your student? Put your student at the center. Keep asking all different questions. Can you address them okay? Can you fulfill their need? You may say that, well, in Iraq, I have only one culture. And I don't have to think about all this cross communication. Because you are no longer, let me get some water, please. If you think that, oh, I'm in Bangladesh or I'm in Iraq, why have to think about other countries? Because we are no longer living in one country. Because of innovation of technology, we are global citizens. So we have to think globally, even we are acting locally from our location. And we are living in the two worlds now. Everyone in the world are citizens of two worlds. That is what is my television show, which is called, Khan's Digital World in Washington, D.C., Fox 5 Plus. I have this television show. And Khan's Digital World, the reason I created, in 2014, I was thinking, I live in America, physically in my house. But many of the things that I do is digitally. Like I do my banking, some my teaching, some health issue. So we are living in a physical world, but around you a new world created is called virtual world. We are citizens of two worlds. One is physical world where you're living, and around you the world created called virtual world. Now our physical world is closed. We cannot go to school, but our virtual world is open. And thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that I was thinking about it in 2014 to come up with this show called Khan's Digital World. In this show, we talk about if you living in a physical world, but you do some work in virtual world, each one has implication on each other. When you have a very important things, you put that on the safety box at home, maybe your valuables. Your money in the bank, you put a good password, you do the cybersecurity. If you take care of your money in the bank with digital way, highly secure, you do the same for home, physical world. So you need to start thinking about, I am a citizen of physical world. I'm also citizen of digital world. And I always joke that I am citizen of I have the three citizenship. Can you guess? I'm the citizen of the virtual world. I'm an American citizen, and I'm also dual citizen, a Bangladeshi citizen. I was born there, proud Bangladeshi American. So I'm citizen of three worlds. I have to pay taxes in Bangladesh, I pay taxes in the US, and also work virtually in the virtual world. So in this dual citizenship that everyone has, is it working? Yes, it will work if you have to prepare yourself. Now I say, because of COVID-19 pandemic, everyone is interested in online education. And I said, I wasn't aware of something that will come. I was thinking that online education, I realized that it can do so much. Remember, I was in Bangladesh in 1980. I said, I didn't have to come here. If I had this online technology so available like the web, I could stay in Bangladesh and take classes from the United States or maybe from Baghdad or someplace in England. It's happening now. So I'm very blessed in my thinking that if technology is creating a new world for us, we have to adjust ourselves. You can never, ever go back to before March this year. That tradition, you cannot go back. If you do go back, you're arrogant, you are living in the wrong world. You should leave this world, go somewhere else. Because the COVID-19 showed us you cannot go back. It's a new norm, new normal. How do we adjust ourselves to this new norm is more important. If you think about, that's why when I was last time in Iraq, I said it. I love to see Iraqi virtual universities. Iraqi virtual university, it should be built by taking resources, content expert professors from all Iraqi universities. Creating a virtual Iraqi virtual university would be government supported. The students can finish degrees there. This is the way to think ahead. And I was so blessed that in Baghdad, I declared my intention to establish the Iraqi virtual university. Even in my television show, we had a show on the Iraqi virtual university because it is so needed. You cannot start building new brick and mortar buildings. You don't have to make the buildings to students to go to. Where are you going to find the students? They're not going back. They're not going back. So you need to, you need to start thinking about digital infrastructure. You have to think about digital infrastructure, digital university, virtual classroom. Because the new students, the new norm, new participants in our education, they're not going to go to schools or colleges in a classroom if they know there are some problems, health problems. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us the opportunity to think, find alternative ways. Sometimes you can go to school if it's needed. Some of the courses like medical surgery, you may need to see how you have to test the blood and do operation on or surgery on a student or a patient. But you can see that how it does through e-learning, then you can do hands-on. Those are the situations where you can do blending. But in most cases, you just look into what is it that you're trying to teach, whether it can be taught online or blended. But if you are thinking, going back to before March 2020, you are a fool. You are an idiot in my mind. You know why? Because the world has changed. You are not supporting your children. You're not supporting the future generation. I'm sorry to use this strong word, so you'll remember. Only it's idiotic thinking that I can go back to where I was. It's going to be brand new thinking, brand new way of learning. Because in my home, I used to invite people. I'm from a city called Chittagong, where we love, feeding people. Something called Mizban is one of the feasts, and I couldn't do it this year. Next year, I don't know if I can do it anymore because would people come? See, people's mindset has changed. So I need to scare you. I need to make you so scared that you would not go back to the old way. You have to come to a new world. New world is going to be challenging. We have not done it before. Have you ever thought that Badrul Khan will be in his home, he's speaking to you like this? It's pretty interactive. I can see all the professors, even I think an honorable guest in front of me, I can see you. You can see me. This is easiest. It saves money for you. Because if I come, you have to pay me and then all the plane fare, everything. But what I'm saying, if this is wanted to hear, I'm saying it now. You can ask me a question. So we need to start think about helping our new generation of learners. It's not for us that how we grew up, how we had to touch hand of our teachers or friends and learn together. This is not going to happen. If it's going to happen, maybe not in my lifetime. People's mindset has changed already. People go with the mask, wearing mask. So I hope I have scared you enough. I hope I made you mad. I hope that you hate me because what I'm saying, but I love you if you do something about it. Create Iraqi Virtual University. Make professors from all participating universities to contribute. I did my undergraduate degree in chemistry. I think Dr. Hamdani also chemist, I believe. So if I want to teach a course on chemistry, then I need to figure out for this introductory chemistry, who will be the good professor from which university, or they can have a jointly create that part of the course. And Iraqi Virtual University will have the best courses coming from famous, dedicated, passionate Iraqi professor and also from other countries. So this is how the world will be like. The education, the way we know now, it may change in future. Maybe students' job will not be related to getting a degree. It will be competency-based. It will be competency-based. So I hope you understand. I'm kind of yelling. This is because I care about you all. I may be yelling and making a point, trying to make you mad. None of them, because I'm very safe to make you mad here, because you cannot hit me. But if I go in front of you and I make you mad, I may get some physical damage. So this is the safety net I have. And now, last thing I want to talk about, if you start thinking about creating your course, you do like stop and think, and you put learners at the center here and ask the questions. I need all this, can the university or the online course give it to me? Who's the professor? Same way. Who's the other person? The university. So one of the important things you have to think about is stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders of online education? The most important stakeholders meaning those who have interest in the course, directly involved in the course. Students are the most important stakeholders. How you make a student happy. How you can make learning meaningful, like a meaningful e-learning or blended learning. How can you make a course meaningful for the students? Well, the students will see, because they are very savvy, technology savvy. They know more about technology than us. So they want to see whatever they want, they can get it easily accessible. High quality, not too much text, direct, important information, and they can complete their course. And there is no technical problem. So they would like that. That would be meaningful for them. What would make a course meaningful for the teacher or professor, instructor? When teacher, instructors see that students are completing her courses without any problem, they'll be happy. If they're achieving goals, they'll be happy. Then technical support. Technical support is also stakeholder. What would make him happy and meaningful? See, when a student sends a lot of email about the interaction, technical difficulty, so that probably makes his life very difficult. So if he doesn't get much complaint, technical problem, then he'll be happy. How about university? University or the school or the institution is the most important stakeholder. University will think, well, we spend millions of dollars for creating online university online courses. What is the return on investment? How many students are staying, not dropping out the course? What is the retention? More students finishing courses in online method, that will make them happy. And also see that most students, or majority of the students finishing the courses, having no problem getting job. So you see, my message to you all, like this, when you think about e-learning, online education, just please stop. Stop, think, and think with these important issues. For years of my research, there are so many articles, so many dissertations has been done in every different issues. So if you want to know more about this framework, you have to go to Badrul Khan, B-A-D-R-U-L. It's like Badr al-Huda. So it's a Badrul, like Persian way, BADRULKHAN.com/framework, FRAMEWORK, framework, badrulkhan.com/framework. You will get articles about blended learning, articles about this. Okay, I think I have said enough. And
Okay.
Take questions if you have any. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Khan, for this very interesting and rich presentation. I'll give you a little break so you can calm down and have some water. And if you excuse me, I will just conclude in Arabic the main point you have given to the audience in your very interesting lecture or presentation. المشاركين الأعزاء، أنا طبعا يسعدني أن ألخص النقاط الرئيسية التي ركز عليها البروفيسور بدرul الهدى خان ووجهة نظره من ناحية التعليم الالكتروني والتعليم المدمج، اللي هو يعتبر من أوائل الناس اللي فكروا في هذا الموضوع، ولم يكن في ذلك الوقت العالم متجه بشكل كبير إلى التعليم الإلكتروني والمدمج، ولم تكن أصلاً الأبليكيشن والتطبيقات والإمكانيات الفنية متوفرة بالشكل الكبير، ولكن هو كانت عنده نظرته وعنده فلسفته إلى هذه العملية التعليمية، وكان دائماً يحاكي العملية التعليمية ويسأل نفسه ماذا يحدث إلكترونياً لو حدث ذلك بالطريقة التقليدية الغير إلكترونية، ويضع سيناريوز إلى أن وصل إلى الفريم ويرك اللي هو هيكلية إلى التعليم الإلكتروني شاملة لمن يريد أن يعمل على التعليم الإلكتروني بالستاندر العالمي. وهذه الهيكلية تتضمن فقرات معينة يجب أن يتم العمل عليها وأن نشتغل عليها بالتوازي مثل ما يقولون امبرر حتى نحقق meaningful e-learning and blended learning. يعني هو ركز على موضوع meaningful لأنه موضوع التعليم الإلكتروني لا يمكن اجتزاءه. ركز على نقاط كثيرة كلتنا يعني نحكي بيها. كثير من الأكاديميين والتدريسيين مع الأسف يخلط بين توفير المادة التعليمية وبين التعليم الإلكتروني. يعني تصور إذا أنه وضع الباوربوينت أو وضع فيديو أو اشتغل له كيس ستدي أونلاين، هو حقق متطلبات التعليم الإلكتروني الهادف، وهذا الحكي غير دقيق. فوضح لنا هو خلال الهيكلية وخلال الفريم ورك اللي صممه أنه المادة التعليمية هي جزء منها. ركز كثير على التدريب وعلى التريننج، اللي هو أنه إحنا نحتاج أن ندرب حتى التدريسيين، لأنه التدريس التقليدي متواجد فيزيائيا مع الطلبة داخل القاعة، وهنالك تداخل إنساني بالتعليم اللي هو وجها لوجه فيس تو فيس. ولكن بالتعليم الإلكتروني هو بعيد ويتعامل معهم إلكترونيا. فهنالك الكثير من الاستراتيجيات والأساليب العلمية اللي تجعل التدريسي يضمن مشاركة الطلبة، لأن الانجيجمنت وتفاعل الطلبة هو أكبر مشكلة بالتعليم الإلكتروني إذا ما كان التدريسي مدرب على هذا الجانب. فعلينا أن نشتغل على تدريب الكوادر التدريسية. أيضا ركز على العالمية. يريد التدريسي، وهذا ما نؤيده 100%، أنه عندما يدرس الطالب اللي موجود بالعراق أو في أي بقعة بالعالم يدرسه بستاندر عالمي، ما يفكر أنه هذا طالب خريج بستاندر عراقي أو مصري أو هندي أو ما شابه، وإنما يجب أن نفكر بالمعايير العالمية. والسبب لذلك أنه العالم أصبح عبارة عن قرية صغيرة، ويجب أن نتوقف كما قال عن التفكير التقليدي. يجب أن لا نحكي بالتعليم الإلكتروني ونفكر بالتعليم بطريقة تقليدية. أيضا جلب انتباه التدريسيين أنه أنت الكورس اللي تشتغله بالعراق فكر به أنه هذا قد ينال إعجاب طلاب بالشرق الأدنى والشرق الأوسط وفي أوروبا وفي أمريكا، فلازم تعمله بمعايير عالمية. يجب على التدريسي أن ينتبه على فرق التوقيتات. هنالك التزامات مهنية، التزامات أخلاقية يجب أن ننتبه لها. عندما ندرس خليط من الطلبة بالكورسات الإلكترونية هنالك فروقات بين البلدان بالتوقيت، فروقات بالكلتشر والقضايا الثقافية، فروقات بالتراث والدين، فروقات بالمفاهيم السياسية. فعلينا أن لا ندخل في هذه التفاصيل أو نشتغل كورس عالمي بطريقة جلوبالايزد بسبب التنوع الجغرافي والسياسي والوقت. أيضا يثير انتباه أو يلفت انتباه الإداريين المسؤولين عن الجامعات أن هنالك خدمات إضافية. التعليم الإلكتروني هو ليس محاضرة أنطيها أونلاين وانتهى الموضوع. أين خدمات الطلبة؟ خدمات الطلبة، اتحادات الطلبة، التعاون الفني، الإرشاد الأكاديمي، الطلبة المتعثرين، الشؤون الإدارية، الشؤون المالية، دفع الأجور، تأجيل الأقساط. هنالك كثير من الأمور يجب أن نفكر بها إذا أردنا نعملها إلكترونيا، كيف أن نشتغلها إلكترونيا. لذلك ركز بالأخير على نقاط معينة. قال أنت عيش محليا، يعني عيش بالعراق ولكن فكر عالميا، فكر بالستاندر العالمي. وهو يقول الآن الشخص عنده أكثر من جنسية. يعني ضرب مثال على نفسه، قال أنا أساساً بنغلاديشي وجنسيتي بنغلاديشية ودا أشتغل ويا جامعات ببنغلاديش وادفع ضريبة. ولو كان في زماني أكو تعليم إلكتروني أساساً ما كان اجيت لإنجلترا، ولكن اجيت لعلاج والدتي وللدراسة، وتوفت والدتي وأنا في الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية رحمها الله، فاضطريت أبقى وأدرس واشتغلت وبديت أشتغل في أمريكا، فصارت عندي جنسية أمريكية وأشتغل في أمريكا وأدفع ضريبة في أمريكا. قال وعندي جنسية ثالثة، منو يحزر من هي؟ يعني سواء على شكل استفسار أو لغز أو كلو. قال هي الجنسية الافتراضية، اللي هو يدرس في عدة دول، مثل ما يعطينا هسه محاضرة أنا قاعد في بريطانيا وانتم بالعراق، ويانا مشاركين من لندن، ويانا مشاركين من شمال أفريقيا، ويانا مشاركين من بعض الدول الشرقية كما أشوف بالشات روم. وهذا هو التعليم الإلكتروني. وأنهى محاضرته بالستيك هولدرز، قسم الفئات اللي هي مرتبطة بشكل مباشر بالتعليم الإلكتروني إلى 4 فئات رئيسية. طبعا الفئات المتأثرة بالتعليم الإلكتروني أكثر، لكن هو ركز على الدائرة الضيقة من التعليم الإلكتروني وسماهم الستيك هولدرز اللي هم الطلاب. طبعا هو في كل محاضرته وفي كل هيكليته يخلي الطالب كمحور، هو كور للعملية التدريسية. وأهم شيء كستيك هولدر شلون نخلي الطالب سعيد. أنا أنقل لكم ما هو حكى، قال شلون نخلي الطالب يطلع هبي وسعيد في نهاية الكورس. طبعا إذا انطيته كورس بجودة عالية، إذا فعلت الانجيجمنت وخليته يتفاعل ويجتاز بمستوى عالي من الجودة. والستيك هولدر الثاني هو الأستاذ الأكاديمي المضبوط، هو اللي يفرح عندما يشوف طلابه حققوا أهداف هذا الكورس الأكاديمي واجتازوه بنجاح وبدون تعثر، فهو ستيك هولدر ثاني. والجانب الثالث هو الجانب الفني اللي هو جدا جدا مهم، واللي احنا نعرف البنية التحتية ايش قد مهمة الانفراستراكشر في العملية التدريسية. فركز على هؤلاء الستيك هولدرز. وطبعا هو يحب العراق بشكل كبير جدا، لأن زار العراق هو وزوجته، وأثنى على بشكل خاص على الأستاذ الدكتور محمد الحمداني، لأنه لاقى الترحيب والتعاون والمرونة وكرم الضيافة. وأثنى على الدكتور عمر جاسم الغريري أيضا، وقال رافقني وأنا أعتبره أحد إخواني، كأنه صغير، أخ صغير بالنسبة لي. وأثنى على كل اللي التقى بهم، قال القائمة طويلة ما أريد أذكرها، ولكن سأوجه إيميلات أشكرهم. وحب العراق بشكل كبير جدا جدا، ومستعد للتعاون معنا في هذا المجال. ولكن أمنيته أن يرى virtual university، أن يرى جامعة virtual تكون كنموذج في المنطقة. ويعتقد أن الكفاءات العراقية لها القابلية إذا ركزت على البنية التحتية ولاقت الدعم من الجهات الراعية، لها القابلية على أن تعمل أحسن جامعة افتراضية virtual university بالمنطقة، وتكون نقطة انطلاق وتدريب ونموذج يحتذى به من قبل الجامعات والمؤسسات التعليمية العراقية الأخرى، وكذلك من قبل المنطقة والعالم أجمع. ويعطيكم العافية وأعتذر عن الإطالة، ولكن لأهمية هذا الموضوع كنت حريص أنه ألخصه بشكل دقيق وأركز على النقاط الأساسية. وكان هو يضحك أثناء المحاضرة ويقول لا تعود إلى التعليم التقليدي أبداً، وقال أنا سأصرخ عليكم. وحتى للضحك قال لي أنا أونلاين، يعني ما أخاف واحد يضربني زين، فأصيح وأحكي براحتي، أصرخ عليكم وأحكي بقوة أنه يجب أن تشرك البلندد ليرنينج، التعليم المدمج، بالعملية التعليمية، ولا ترجع إلى الخلف بعد جائحة كورونا. وإذا رجعت فمعناه أنه أنت عنيد، وأنه أنت شخص لا تعيش في عالمنا الحالي، وعليك أن تجد عالم آخر تعيش به. وقال اعذروني عن هذه القسوة في الحديث، ولكن أنا عندي رسالة أكاديمية وعلمية، مسج أريد أوجهها لكم جميعا. وأعتذر جدا عن الإطالة.
في ختام هذه الندوة المهمة التي تسهم في معالجة الأوضاع التي نحن فيها عالميا، لا يسعني إلا أن أقدم شكري للأستاذ الدكتور بدر على هذا الوقت الذي خصصه لنا في هذه المحاضرة المهمة حول التعليم الإلكتروني والتعليم المدمج. وكذلك أقدم الشكر إلى الأستاذ الدكتور رامي الحديثي الذي أمتعنا بإيجازه لهذه الأفكار الطيبة باللغة العربية، وأيضا حاور البروفيسور في تفاصيل هذا التعليم. وأشكر أيضا الأخوة المتابعين بأسئلتهم وكنا نتمنى الحقيقة أن يكون هناك متسع من الوقت كنستمر في هذه الأسئلة، لكن مراعاة لأوقاتكم الكريمة. ونعدكم إن شاء الله في الأسبوع القادم ستكون أيضا محاضرة بهذا المستوى من الأهمية، ونحن مستمرون معكم لأجل أن نقدم هذه الخبرات في تغيير واقع التعليم ليس فقط في العراق. حقيقة احنا هنا نخاطب المحيط العربي والإقليمي ككل بمحاضراتنا. شكرا جزيلا لكم وشكرا للحضور الكريم وجزاكم الله خيرا.
At the end of this very interesting workshop and the presentation, we would like to express our deep thanks and gratitude for Prof. Badrul H for this very important lecture. And we promise him that this framework and his advices and directions will be a guideline for us in implementing the meaningful e-learning and blended learning. This is one of the best seminars in this issue, but we will not stop. We are intending to keep on going and do a weekly presentation which talks about the modern issues concerning the education, scientific issues, and the academic accreditation. And we thank all the participants and everybody who has made this presentation and this day a successful event. جزاكم الله خير وجزيل الشكر والتقدير.
Thank you. My last word, everybody who participated in this discussion, shukran, may Allah bless you. And now I say that stop and think with your learner in mind. You'll do good. May Allah bless you. And I hope and pray that you'll do good things for your children and new generation of learner. And thank you for inviting me, Dr. Hamdani, Dr. Jassim, Dr. Rami, whoever also involved and participants from other countries. Thank you very much. You have a wonderful rest of the good evening. I know it's about 11 or 12 o'clock there in Baghdad, in Iraq, in other countries, different timing. But thank you for giving me the opportunity.